welcome back, or welcome if you are new. My name is Michaela and we are today going to be doing my August TBR. I haven't done a TBR in quite some time. I used to do these videos on my channel, but I found that I just wasn't completing the TBRs as quickly as I wanted to, or I wasn't kind of reading all the books that I'd set myself that month, and it was a little bit disheartening at the time. So since then I've kind of abolished them, but I have been intentionally setting myself a TBR each month, and I have actually been completing them. So I figured I would share that with you guys because that is what we do on Booktube channels. And so today we're going to go through my August TBR, even though we are, what's the date? Already nearly halfway through. In saying that, this is a very ambitious TBR. I've been setting myself TBRs between 6 and 9 books, mostly because I found that using both audiobooks and reading, and sometimes ebooks, I'm actually able to get through books a bit quicker than what I used to be able to if I was just reading them. Just because they're a bit more accessible and I can listen to them or read them while I'm doing other things, and that just gives me a bit more time in the day to be able to actually read and get through these stories, which is chef's kiss. But I'm also not going to do this in any kind of order because I kind of just set myself a long list and then pick from that whatever I feel like at the time. So no particular order. I'm going to stop rambling. Let's just jump into the video. The first book that I would like to get to in August is Before the Coffee Gets Cold by, I can't do this every time, Toshikazu Kawaguchi. Before the Coffee Gets Cold is a collection of 4 short stories that follows a cafe that allows you to travel back in time. However, the catch for this is that you have to go back in time and then come back before your coffee gets cold, otherwise something terrible will happen. Among several other rules and regulations that come with this, customers of the cafe must face their past, people from their past, and things that they've done within the allocated time limit. I have heard so much praise about Before the Coffee Gets Cold. I've seen it on so many different platforms, and since reading Haruki Murakami's what did I read? The Elephant Vanishes, I've been wanting to dip my toes more into that Japanese literature. They have a very different way of writing and blending magic and reality in a way that works really seamlessly, and I'm very much looking forward to reading this because of that. The next book that I would like to get to is Normal People by Sally Rooney. Normal People is a contemporary adult fiction following our 2 main characters, Connell and Marianne. Connell is like the school jock. He's well loved by everyone. He's the star of the soccer team, whereas Marianne is the more quiet, reserved, withdrawn of the pair. However, the two are thrown together when Connell arrives at Marianne's house to pick up his mother from their house cleaning duties, and the two are kind of thrown together into this unlikely friendship. I believe in this story we follow Marianne and Connell as they navigate high school and college, and how the pair are always orbiting and being drawn back to each other. And I quote from the synopsis, how far they're willing to go to save each other. I've heard so much hype about Normal People through, again, every platform that I know of, and I'll be listening to this one as an audiobook as well because my local library has it and it is so good. The next is another adult fiction book, and it is Such a Fun Age by Kylie Reid. Such a Fun Age follows our main characters, Alex, who is kind of a self-made, hard-working woman who has a daughter, a 2-year-old daughter named Briar, and their babysitter, Amira, who's a 25-year-old black lady. Amira finds herself kind of at the mercy of the media when one afternoon she is at the local high-end grocery store and she's confronted by a policeman who believes that she has kidnapped this young white child whom she's actually just babysitting. And the footage from the event kind of raises someone from Alex's past, and the two kind of have to work together to navigate this chaos that has ensued. Again, this is another adult contemporary fiction that I've heard a lot about. I believe it deals with a lot of topics surrounding like race and racism, which again is something that's really present in the current society. And it also won an award in the 2020 Goodreads Book Awards. So yeah, Such a Fun Age. Continuing on with my reread of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I will be listening to A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. I have already read A Court of Silver Flames once this year, but given that I do my like yearly re-listen of the A Court of Thorns and Roses series, I'm just going to pick it up as the natural progression of that. And throughout listening to the A Court of Thorns and Roses series earlier on, it's actually got me really pumped to get back into it. Now that I kind of know more about the story and what's going to happen, I can really dig down on some of those details that I may have missed the first time. A Court of Wings and Ruin and A Court of Silver Flames are the third and fourth books in the A Court of Thorns and Roses series. I have spoken extensively about this series on this channel, so if you would like to listen to that, go trawl my videos. They're in probably at least almost all of them at some point. But just know that I'm thoroughly enjoying my reread, re-listen of the series, and I'm so excited to actually get through and finish it this month. The next one is 1984 by George Orwell. 1984 is a futuristic, dystopian, bureaucratic story that follows one man who's trying to make his kind of own individual way in this world. 1984 is a classic, well-known, well-established story within just our general world, and I'm ashamed to say that I have not read it yet. People often compare this to Big Brother, which immediately drew me in, and I am equal parts excited and terrified to read this. But this is another one of the audiobooks that I'm hoping to get to this month. Next is Poison Study by Marie V. Snyder. Poison Study is the first in this fantasy series. It follows our main character Yelena, who is on death row for the murder of the son of a local nobility. However, before she goes to the block, she's offered a choice. She can either be hanged for her crimes or she can become the king's new poison taster. So naturally, Yelena accepts this offer, and the first book in this series follows Yelena as she works with the king's second in command, Valak, and as she learns what the poisons are, how to taste them, and she really comes into this new role as the poison taster. This series is filled with fantasy, it's filled with romance and angst, equal to that of all of the other ones that are on Booktube, and it's actually one of the series that I think is so thoroughly underrated around here. I have read this series before, however I've only read the first 3 or 4 in the series, and there is now 6, and I never really got around to actually finishing it, so I'm starting a reread of the series because I can't remember exactly what happens in the first 3 or 4 books of the series, so I'm so excited to jump back into this. Poison Study was kind of like my first A Court of Thorns and Roses when I started reading, so super keen, but I will need to wait until after I have finished the A Court of Thorns and Roses series because I think that they're a bit too similar in their trajectories and the characters and storylines for me to be able to read them at the same time. And the last book that I'm hoping to get to in this month is One Last Stop by Casey McQuiston. One Last Stop is a story that follows our main character August, who is a young female who's trying to find her way after she kind of distances herself from her eccentric mother. She moves from New Orleans to New York City, where she finds herself living with 3 roommates who actually help her to get a job at the local cafe. However, August's world is kind of turned upside down when on the subway one day she runs into her dream girl. There is a magical twist in this story that kind of follows August and her dream girl Jane, and I'm really hoping that that brings an interesting twist into the storyline or an interesting theme to the book. One Last Stop is another adult fiction romance book, and Casey McQuiston also wrote Red, White and Royal Blue, which I have read and only kind of liked, so I'm really hoping that I like this one a bit more than that. And as ambitious as it is, that is all of the books that I want to try to read in August. One thing I do want to say, if you're a booktuber and you're watching this, or if you're watching this and you're not a booktuber and you want to do a buddy read with any of the books that I kind of mentioned in these TBRs, please let me know, because I've done one with Paige from Pages with Paige and it was so much fun and I really enjoyed it, and it was nice to kind of bounce ideas off someone else and be able to be kept accountable for reading. So if that's something that you would be interested in, let me know. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!